Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Nothing spoilery here, but I did see Solo last night. If this is Friday when this video goes up. But anyways, I gotta say I really enjoyed the movie. I really liked it. I'm surprised at how well Alden Ehrenreich did in capturing Han Solo. I thought Donald Glover was amazing as Lando. Really just overall a very surprisingly good movie. So anyways, if you had any doubts, I highly suggest you check it out. But anyways, today we're going to take a look at the 3 3/4 inch Enfys Nest Swoop bike. So let's head to that table and check this one out. And checking out the front of the packaging, of course, you got a nice look at Enfys Nest on that Swoop speeder bike. And in the background, and then as it rotates to the top of the packaging there, you see, I forget the name of the world, but that's where the train is gliding along and Solo and Beckett are on top. So that's the image that you have here on the front of the packaging. And then, of course, through the window, you see the included figure with that staff. And then off on the left side of the packaging, you see that this is Force Link 2 compatible with a little hand on the vehicle there. And of course, that green logo also saying Force Link 2 at the bottom corner. Left side of the packaging, pretty much the same thing, Force Link 2.0 advertisement. And on the right side of the packaging, nothing special to see here.
Move along.
Checking out the back side, front and center, of course, you got the image of the included vehicle and toy. To the left of that, you get a description of Enfys Nest and the speeder bike, it's very brief. And on the upper right side, you got the Force Link 2.0 advertisement showing you also that both the vehicle and figure are 2.0 compatible. And on the bottom left side, you get your advertisement for the Han Solo with Force Link starter set. And taking a look at it out of the packaging, first up with the speeder bike, or Swoop bike rather, it is pretty cool looking. Very representative of what we saw in the movie, although not exactly like we saw in the movie. As far as my memory serves, I think the only thing really missing from it stand out is these like little cable ties or something that went fin to fin here in the front end, and then had the same thing in the back end, little like cable tie or something going from the fin to the main body. Aside from that, it looks like I recall it being in the movie. And as far as the toy itself goes, it's got a very nice sculpt to it with a pretty decent paint job to go along with it. First, starting at the front end of the body where you got the tail fins, or are they still called tail fins? Anyways, whatever. Nice little red and black painting in there, like a dark gray really, not necessarily black. I don't know if that's clan markings, tribal markings, painting or whatnot. But anyways, things are definitely looking pretty good in there. Then you got these little soft plastic pieces that, as you can see, are already kind of warping just a little bit. Especially this one over here, just a little bit bowed in. You know, they use this soft plastic now, so that's definitely just gonna happen, I guess. I don't think there's a lot of weight on it where it's gonna necessarily warp all the way down over time though, so it should hold up pretty well otherwise. And then as far as the main body itself, on this left side, if you will, right here, unfortunately you got all the little text and Hasbro stamps and stuff. I would have preferred that to be on the bottom. Nevertheless, that's where it is. Aside from that, aside from the tan of the body, you got some red painted in there. It's obviously you can see, but you know, nice little like weathering lines, I suppose, painted in there, paint chipped off or something. And then some dark gray or light black through on this side, and that red just kind of hits here and there, red and dark gray throughout the body of the vehicle, just having a little bit of a worn paint job to it. So that's all looking pretty decent. The tan is actually painted on. The plastic itself seems to be this dark gray. Best I can tell, it does seem like this is what's painted on, because let's see, I think it's on this side over here. You do see a little bit of that brown kind of, you know, oversprayed. I mean, super minor, but that's what leads me to believe that it's the tan painted on for this part of the body at least. Otherwise, nice little sculpting throughout the vehicle, little engine bits and stuff sculpted in there. So that's all looking pretty good. Of course, on the bottom side, you got your Force Link 2.0, that little green stamped there. Aside from that, not much happening on the bottom. And then on the back side, you got some engine detailing, a little bit of dark brown painted in there. You know, nothing overly special. And then as far as the tail of the vehicle, more of that tribal marking or whatever, you know, paint job in there for the fin. Seat area, nice little texturing of the seat. For that center console, not much to it, just a little couple bits sculpted out, sticking out there, I should say. No special painting, no stickers, no nothing else to it. And then as far as the gray handles and the gray foot pads, if you will, nice little texturing in on there for the feet. And then the handles, well, I mean, it looks like handlebars. You got a little brake lever here on this side. Nothing moves on this vehicle. It's all static. Like there's no action features to this vehicle whatsoever, aside from the Force Link sounds. but no missiles that shoot out or anything like that. That's what you're getting for a toy. And then you can just rest that down pretty decently on its own. Little wobble to it, but not going to tip over or anything like that. And as far as the Force Link sounds of the vehicle,
firmware update required.
So of course you get your engine noises, tapping it, get your blaster sounds. You get a little speed up effect when you slide it forward. And now as far as the Enfys Nest figure itself, pretty good looking figure overall. There are a couple problems here and there, but otherwise I think it's a pretty good looking figure. Going in on the head sculpt, where the first problem is going to come up is the little, we'll call them horns. That part sticking up, a little bit warped on mine from being inside the packaging. Everyone's is going to vary on this, but it's just each of those parts there just aren't quite sticking up as straight as they should be. That far left one is angled out more than the right. And the very tip top, like I said, that white one on the left side, definitely sticking out crooked a little bit, a little wavy in there. Aside from that, though, I think it's a great sculpt and a pretty decent paint job. I mean, there's not much to it. You got the silver on those two little metal fins sticking out of the backside with a little touch of blue painted in there. Pretty nice paint job to that. And then otherwise, it's kind of this off-white mask with a lot of gray painting in there. There is writing all through the top forehead area of the helmet, and that's pretty well represented here, as much as you can do for a 3 3/4 inch figure anyways. You're not going to be able to really read the text, but it's there. You can definitely see that there is writing on the top. Everything else through the eye area, that silver's looking pretty good. And then the rest of the little gray lines running down the side chin area of the mask and through the little vent pieces at the front of the mask. So looking pretty good through there. As it rotates around to the back, you see the hair sculpted for the figure, for the person in there. Decent sculpting to that. It's just hair, but it's looking good. As you get into the chest area of the figure, I like the way they did the fur that is wrapped around the shoulders of Enfys Nest. Pretty nice sculpting and paint job to that. And then for the middle of the chest, you got this little beaded chest box of some sorts. Pretty good sculpting to that. Aside from your two basic colors, that yellowish color and then the gray, no other like special painting in there for, you know, I think there were like reds and blacks through the ends of those little yellowish beads or something, but I could be wrong. But anyways, still a pretty good sculpt through here. On each side of the wrist area, you got these little yellowish gauntlets with a bit of red painted on. That's looking quite nice as well. And then getting through the belt area, white belt, little touch of silver painting for some details in there. And otherwise, these little yellowish tabards with the black stripes and a touch of red on there. Pretty sharp paint job to that, I do think. And then as you get down to the legs, you just see some other bits of the uniform sculpted in there. Unfortunately, no special paint application, honestly. Could be wrong. I feel like some of it could be colored a little bit, but it's not. I think that's getting pretty nitpicky at this point for what is pretty much a really good looking figure. And then the other part of this to touch on, of course, soft goods cape for the back. Definitely going to want that so that you can sit the figure properly in that speeder bike. But the only thing I'll say to that is I do wish they had the red, or maybe it was a dark orange, on the inside of that cape. You know, it's not like they haven't done it before. You know, they certainly gave us that with Lando on his soft goods cape. Yes, that was the, you know, super articulated version and not just your basic 5-point articulation. But I do think that some red or that dark orange on the inside of this cape just would have helped, you know, the rest of the body features of this figure pop out more. Again, probably asking too much for a basic 5-point figure. Now, as I mentioned, that cape allows you to sit the figure onto the vehicle, and this figure does fit in the vehicle quite well. The feet reach the pedals, the hands, the wrist area is articulated so that you can put those hands onto the handlebars, and the figure does fit quite nicely on this vehicle. So that's definitely a good thing there. And now as far as the articulation goes, the head's on a ball joint, so you're getting some up and down, little bit of nodding side to side, and then of course you can swivel the head all the way around, and surprisingly that hair really doesn't get in the way of the figure. At the arm area, you're going to be able to bring them straight out. You're not going above the head because of the fur on the shoulder area. I'm quite all right with that, but that's your arm articulation. That wrist area, as I already mentioned, they both do swivel around, so that's going to allow that to sit on the vehicle as we saw already and hold those handlebars. And then your other point of articulation are just both legs, because these tabards are quite soft. The legs come straight out, and then, you know, you can move those back this far if you wanted to. And as far as accessories, the figure does come with the one staff that we saw Enfys use in the movie. Pretty decent sculpting and molding to it. At the base of the staff, you just got a little bit of round stuff kind of sculpted in there just to give it some definition of a handle. And then I guess a more second-hand handle here or something there just underneath the blade. And then there's the blade end itself. Looks like a touch of silver painting there running along the edge. And then that weapon, of course, does fit pretty nicely in either hand singly. And because of the added articulation on the wrists, you can use both hands to hold this in kind of a more of an action-oriented pose. And now the forceling sounds of Enfys.
The only law out here is my law. No more when without weapons. Let's move out. It's time to bring home some credits. No more when without weapons.
And then when you slide this figure forward, I think that's the weapon noise. So some pretty decent sounds in there, and I think maybe one of those lines I don't recall hearing in the movie. And also I'd say this is probably a voice actor here. This doesn't sound exactly what I remember from seeing the movie. But then again, I have only seen the movie once, so I don't quite have all of the sounds and lines memorized yet. So overall, this is a pretty cool looking set. I think they did a pretty good job with the sculpting of the vehicle, with the painting, although I am surprised about the lack of play features. But for me, since I don't play with them, that doesn't really take away my enjoyment of this toy. And the figure, like I said, it's looking pretty good there. So yeah, 2 thumbs up for this set. And so that wraps up my look at Enfys Nest Swoop Bike along with the Enfys Nest figure. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this set in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.